Hi, this is Stephanie Lotvin of Tellybean Knits, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to work rows 5 and 6 of Clue 3 or Section 3 of the Merrymaking cowl. You can see that my swatch has fewer stitches on the needles than you have on your needles, and this is just for demonstration purposes to keep the tutorial nice and succinct. We will be working with color 5 for this tutorial, and if you're looking for a more in-depth explanation of how to work the KYOK stitch, I have created a separate tutorial for the KYOK stitch. I will be working through all of the stitches in rows 5 and 6, so if you need a slower version or if you are new to the KYOK stitch, then I recommend trying out that other tutorial before watching this tutorial on how to work rows 5 and 6. All right, we will begin row 5 with the right side of our work facing us, and we will just bring those stitches to the end of our needles. So my working yarn is currently on the right side of my work, so I'm going to slip that first stitch purlwise with yarn in front, and then bring my yarn between my needles to the back of my work. Now it's time to grab color 5. You're just going to start by knitting 2 stitches using color 5, and then you're going to slip the stitch marker. Now we're going to be working KYOK, or knit yarn over knit, followed by a slip one with yarn and back, and we're going to repeat those 2 stitches until we reach our next stitch marker. If you're working from the written instruction, you'll be repeating this KYOK, slip one with yarn and back, 24 times. So we'll work a KYOK, and then slip one with yarn and back. Slipping this stitch with yarn and back is going to create a float on the wrong side of our work, and we just want to make sure that we're not pulling that really tight as we come across that slipped stitch. If I pull this stitch really tight, it's going to tighten my KYOK, and it's going to make the space that I am creating the float on the wrong side of my work shorter, and we don't need that. So keep it generally loose. If you're worried that it's getting too tight, just make sure and spread out your stitches. So we'll work a KYOK again, and then slip one with yarn and back. Once again, be careful not to pull those stitches too tight. KYOK, slip one with yarn and back, KYOK, slip one with yarn and back, KYOK, slip one with yarn and back. And let me just pause so you can have a look at that. The KYOK stitches have 3 loops per stitch, and then we have this slipped stitch where you can turn your work and see that there are floats on the wrong side of my work from slipping those stitches with yarn in back. And I've now reached the next stitch marker. I'm going to slip that stitch marker, and then I'm going to work a KYOK into that central stitch, and then slip the next stitch marker. Now I'm going to slip one with yarn and back, KYOK, and I'll repeat that until I reach the final stitch marker. If you're working from the written instructions, this will be worked 24 times, these 2 stitches. So slip one with yarn and back, KYOK, slip one with yarn and back, KYOK, slip one with yarn and back, KYOK. Just going to spread out my stitches a little, make sure that nothing is getting too tight. Slip one with yarn and back, KYOK, slip one with yarn and back, KYOK. And now I've reached my final stitch marker. I'm going to slip that stitch marker, knit 2, and knit 2 together. Let me just pause here and spread out my stitches so you can see what this looks like at the end of row 5. So I currently have the right side of my work facing me, and you can see my color 5 yarn is coming from the left-hand side of my work. And you can see the KYOKs have created these 3 loops, and then the slip stitches are between those KYOKs. I have a KYOK on my, what is now my central 3 stitches between the 2 stitch markers. And now I am ready for a wrong side row. So I'm just going to turn my work to a wrong side row, and now I'm ready for row 6. I'm going to be continuing to work in color 5. I'll slip the first stitch purlwise with yarn in front, bring my yarn between my needles to the back of my work, work a yarn over, and then knit 2. I'll slip the next stitch marker, and now I'm going to work a knit 3 together through the back loop, slip 1 with yarn and back, and I'll repeat those 2 stitches until I reach my next stitch marker. If you're working from the written instructions, you'll repeat the knit 3 together through the back loop, slip 1 with yarn and back 24 times, which will bring you to the next stitch marker. So now we're going to knit 3 together through the back loop. And you may find that this is a little bit awkward when you first try it out. So I'm just going to point out that if you use the tip of your knitting needle to follow the bottom edge of the top needle. So here I have my right hand needle and then my left hand needle. I'm using the tip of my right hand needle to slide along my left hand needle so that it stays in contact the entire time, so that it is easy to get between all 3 stitches until I come out through the back loop on all 3 stitches. Now, another thing that I recommend doing whenever you work these knit 3 together through the back loop is actually to either pull with your needle just a little bit, or just push your needle up past the tapered portion of the needle so that you can give yourself some space. It helps to even out all 3 of those stitches. And then when you wrap your needle, you have a little extra space that you've created inside those 3 stitches to bring that stitch through. We're just going to drop that off of the left hand needle. So that's my first knit 3 together through the back loop. Now I'll slip 1 with yarn and back. And once again, I'm going to insert my needle and work a knit 3 together through the back loop, wrap my yarn, and bring that through, slip 1 with yarn and back, knit 3 together through the back loop, slip 1 with yarn and back, knit 3 together through the back loop, slip 1 with yarn and back, knit 3 together through the back loop. And you can see those knit 3 together through the back loop. They become less awkward. Well, in my opinion, they become less awkward as you work down the row. The more of them you do, the more you get into a flow. Slip 1 with yarn and back, slip the next stitch marker, and now we've come to what was our central single stitch is now our central 3 stitches. We're going to knit 3 together through the back loop. Oh, and sometimes that might happen. I wasn't able to catch my yarn. No worries, just try it again. And now I've worked that knit 3 together through the back loop, and I'm down to a single central stitch again. Slip 1 with yarn and back, knit 3 together through the back loop, slip 1 with yarn and back, knit 3 together through the back loop, slip 1 with yarn and back, knit 3 together through the back loop, slip 1 with yarn and back, knit 3 together through the back loop. And keeping those stitches nice and loose on the row 5 made it so that it is much more comfortable for me to work on row 6. I'm going to slip this next one with yarn and back, and then work my final slip 3 together through, or knit 3 together through the back loop. And then I'm going to slip that final stitch marker and knit 3 stitches. So let me show you what that looks like at the end of our wrong side row. So this is what the wrong side of our work is going to look like after completing row 6. You can see that we have little floats on the wrong side of our work. You can see that color 2 and color 5 are alternating on my needles. These floats that are on the wrong side of my work, those were created when we worked row 5. Let me flip this over so you can see what the right side looks like. It's so much fun. They look like string lights. Okay, so this is the right side of our work that's facing us right now. You can see that when we worked those knit 3 together stitches through the back loop, we created tiny bobbles in color 5. And between those little bobbles, we have our slipped stitches, and we have floats that are running between those tiny bobbles. These floats were created when we worked the slip 1 purlwise with yarn in back on row 6. So you do have floats on the right side of your work and on the wrong side of your work. The floats on the wrong side of your work were created in row 5, and the floats on the right side of your work were created in row 6. We have a tiny bobble that is right here on that central stitch between our second and third stitch marker, and you have just finished row 6. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.